been reporting to you about multiple concerning injections that have received FDA approval or even fast tracking that are either mRNA or saRNA. Either way, all very deadly, lethal, dangerous technologies that seem to just be rolling through, even though we were promised a MAHA agenda. Well, this has just surfaced this week. Apparently, the FDA approved the Moderna COVID shot for kids behind RFK Jr.'s back, and 2 HHS aides have been fired. This is from John Fleetwood's Substack. It says the US Food and Drug Administration quietly granted full approval to Moderna's mRNA COVID-19 injection for children while Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. was on vacation and without his knowledge or consent. As head of the department overseeing the FDA, Kennedy should have been directly informed of any decision involving pediatric mRNA shots, especially one as politically and medically sensitive as full approval for children as young as 6 months. So just a little bit of history here. On July 10, Moderna announced that the FDA approved the supplemental biologics license application for Spikevax, which is the company's COVID shot in children, or rather we should say babies, 6 months through 11 years of age who are at increased risk for COVID-19 disease. We also previously told you about what increased risk is. We took you through the CDC's website. It basically says that if you don't exercise enough, we're not really sure who determines that, you're at increased risk. So basically everyone. But I digress. The approval was made despite Moderna's own scientists' admission that there are unacceptable toxicity levels in mRNA vaccines, and that, quote, lipid nanoparticle structural components, production methods, route of administration, and proteins produced from complex mRNAs all present toxicity concerns. But it was apparently, so we're told, made without Secretary Kennedy's knowledge. According to multiple sources, neither Kennedy nor his Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephanie Spears, were briefed or consulted ahead of the decision, raising alarm over internal operations at one of the nation's most powerful health agencies. On July 16, White House correspondent and media host Emerald Robinson reported on Twitter, or X, that FDA Commissioner Marty Makary did not inform Robert Kennedy, who was on vacation, or his office that the FDA was going to approve the mRNA shots for children, citing sources familiar with the matter. On July 17, CNN reported that Secretary Kennedy had fired 2 of his top aides in an abrupt shakeup of the leadership of the nation's sprawling health department, also citing unnamed sources. Quote, Kennedy's Chief of Staff, Heather Flick Melanson, and Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Hannah Anderson, left HHS after only a handful of months on the job following internal clashes that culminated in both of their removals this week, the report explained. The CNN article didn't connect the firings to the FDA's decision to approve Moderna's jab for kids. However, the MAHA PAC, the Make America Healthy Again Political Action Committee, which is a pro-Trump super PAC funded by RFK Jr.'s former staff to promote his health-focused agenda, corroborated Robinson's account and connected the firings to the FDA's Moderna decision. On July 20, MAHA PAC cited Dr. Robert Malone, who is now serving on the newly restructured ACIP vaccine panel, as confirming that neither Kennedy nor Spears were informed of the FDA's decision regarding Moderna and that a major HHS leadership purge unfolded upon their return. Quote, the unfortunate facts are that this decision was made public when both the Secretary of HHS and his trusted Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephanie Spears, were on vacation, said Dr. Malone, citing insider knowledge. Neither Secretary of the HHS nor his Deputy Chief of Staff were briefed or read in on this decision. The move apparently set off a chain reaction. According to Malone, shortly after Kennedy and Spears returned, a major reorganization of HHS leadership occurred. Anderson was, quote, walked off the premises and was so upset that she crashed her car into the secretary's government-provided vehicle. Melanson, a veteran of the Trump-era HHS, claimed that she resigned voluntarily. CNN sources say otherwise, alleging that she was fired after Kennedy lost confidence in her leadership following the dismissal of Anderson. A spokesperson for HHS said that Matt Buckham, the department's White House liaison, will serve as acting chief of staff. So if all of this is true, it's a good sign. It shows that insubordination will not be tolerated, especially when it comes to decisions that may harm children. But what of Marty Makary, the head of the FDA, responsible for the FDA? What is happening to him? And if all of this is true, then we should expect that RFK Jr. would be announcing a plan to reverse this decision. He is the head of the HHS, and there are several processes that he could begin to that effect, whether it be procedural steps or legal steps. To us, it seems quite simple. A decision was made without my oversight or my given authority. We need to look at this decision more closely. Therefore, I am doing XYZ to reverse this decision in the meantime. Thus far, no such statement has been made by RFK Jr. However, we will be keeping an eye out to see if he takes further steps to correct this horrendous mess.